If you did not enjoy that women's final in the 2021 US Open, then I don't really know what to tell you. Not only was it some of the best tennis that we've seen, but the 2021 US Open women's final was history in the making. We saw records being broken. We saw two young rising stars in the making who are going to be a key part of women's tennis for the next 10-15 years. And women's tennis continues to be incredible. It really continues to be incredible. I said it when I did the US Open preview. It's so hard to choose and predict a winner. It's so wide open. You can never take rankings into account. So many things, so many unexpected results can occur. And this has topped it off. This is the exact epitome of women's tennis, where we continue to see breakout performances from young tennis players. I mean, 2 years ago, you had Bianca Andreescu. She defeated Serena Williams in the 2019 US Open final. You had the arrival of Iga Swiatek, Barbara Krejcikova, and now you've got these two absolutely amazing tennis players in Emma Raducanu and Leylah Fernandez. They put on a show in that final, and they've been tearing it up this whole tournament. We're going to get into the match. We're going to get into the impact that both these women provided. The 2021 US Open was historic for women's tennis. Why? This is why. Both Raducanu and Fernandez, they had two completely different routes into the US Open women's final. And, at the ages of 18 and 19, it's absolutely scary to see how good they really are already. They really have a complete game. With Fernandez, she is a little pocket rocket. She's got so much speed. She's got so much heart and so much fight. Her ability to stay in a rally, her ability to return. And, she's a counterpuncher as well. She can turn defense into offense. And, she is going to be her own type of player. She's going to innovate the game in her own way. But seeing how she performs and how she continues to hustle, she honestly reminds me of Novak Djokovic. She's got that mental toughness. There were many times where she could have easily folded and given up. But against Raducanu, she continued to fight to the best of her abilities. And she's been fighting all tournament long, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. But she's got that Djokovic-like game where she doesn't give up, and if her opponent makes a mistake, then she can easily make them be punished for it. Raducanu, on the other hand, this is only her second Grand Slam tournament. She debuted in a major in the Wimbledon that's just gone past, and she made the fourth round. She was on a fairy tale run until she just became overwhelmed with the situation. She had to retire, but she's really come back and she hasn't missed a beat. It's, as I said, it's absolutely scary how good she is at the age of 18. Her return game is amazing. She's got an amazing backhand that she uses to attack and defend with. She's got a nice serve. She plays with power. She can easily generate a lot of pace on the ball and, get a lot of winners, whether it's forehand or backhand. And she's also quick, so she can recover in rallies. She's got good defense. She's almost a complete package. So when it comes to these two young players, the sky's the limit for them. Their ceiling is ridiculously high, and it's not going to be the last time we see these two in a final again. This could be a generational rivalry, really. At the ages of 18 and 19, we could see these two go to war, go to battle for many, many more tournaments in years to come. So the future for women's tennis is bright. It's very exciting. As I talked about in the US Open preview that I did, it really keeps the top players on their feet and keeps them honest and continues to make everybody work hard, because you really can't underestimate anyone that's in the tournament. And man, what we got in this women's final was absolutely high quality tennis. It was entertaining, and even though Leylah Fernandez, she lost to Emma Raducanu, both women, they were absolute winners on this day. They really defied all odds. Nobody would have seen this coming. And as I said, history was made, at the US Open in 2021. Now, when you look at the path that both women had to get to this Open final, Fernandez, she's got a lot more experience than Raducanu, but man, the scalps that she had taken to really get to this point, she first defeated Naomi Osaka, who is the defending champ, in round 3. She went to a 3-set match. And then she had Angelique Kerber next. She had Angelique Kerber. She went to 3 sets with her. She came back. And then she had to face Elina Svitolina, who is the 5th seed. And she took her to 3 sets. And then she took the number 2 seed, Aryna Sabalenka. Sabalenka just completely fell apart. She broke down and Fernandez was able to capitalize. So she had 4 grueling 3-set matches against 4 of the best, 4 high-quality opponents, and she overcame all those hurdles. That's what I mean. She was down and out in a number of those matches, and she continued to fight. She continued to stay strong mentally, and she wouldn't be denied. She really wouldn't be denied. And if you saw her match against Raducanu, the way she continues to just return the ball, make her opponent play another shot, and her ability to transition from defense to offense, it really leaves me gobsmacked. And I do think that because she had 4 back-to-back really grueling 3-set matches, I do think it took its toll on Fernandez here in the final, and I think she ran out of gas. And you contrast that with Emma Raducanu. She had to qualify to make the US Open, and she made history by being the first qualifier to ever make a Grand Slam final, and she is obviously the first ever qualifier to win a major in the Open era. So Raducanu, it's absolutely incredible to see the run she was on, and while she did not have as tough a draw as Leylah Fernandez did, the one key and most impressive stat in my opinion is she did not drop a single set. In all her matches from the qualifiers to round 1 of the US Open to the final, she did not drop a single set. She won all her matches in straight sets, and in all honesty, this has to be up there for one of the greatest runs in a Grand Slam history. I mean, you just couldn't write this sort of stuff. This is what fairy tales are made of. This is why I love sports, because you just never know what's going to happen. You can really rally around with so many different people around magical moments like this. And without a doubt, we're going to be seeing a lot more of Emma Raducanu in years to come. Now, let's get into the key moments of the match. And, another part of history in the making here was that, these two come from Asian backgrounds. Raducanu, I believe, is half Chinese, and Leylah Fernandez is Filipino. So having these two players from Asian backgrounds, that was also history in the making for what it's worth. But what I loved about this match was they never let the environment, they never let the occasion get to them. Both Raducanu and Fernandez, they just played their natural games. They were just doing what they did best, and they were just competing at the highest level. They never seemed timid. They continued to swing for the fences, and they were just playing with freedom, and they honestly seemed like they were enjoying the moment out there. It's really great to see. The quality of tennis that we had, the rallies, the points, the emotion, the drama, it was incredible, top to bottom. And while the scoreboard says that Raducanu won in straight sets, the back and forth between both women, it was some of the best tennis that I've ever seen, as I mentioned at the top of the podcast. So in the first set, Raducanu, she had 6 breakpoint chances during Leylah's first opening service game, and she finally got the job done. But then Fernandez, in classic fashion, she continued to fight and she broke back the following game. So at this stage, Raducanu was up 2-1 on serve. So at this point, both players, they were holding on to serve until the very end of the first set, where Raducanu eventually broke Fernandez to win the first set 6-4, and as a result should be serving first in the second set. But when I was watching that first set, some of the major takeaways that I had was, again, they were just swinging for the fences. They were playing shots. They played with no fear. They were really taking it to each other. And, Fernandez one of her Achilles heels throughout the whole game was that she had a very poor first serve percentage. Raducanu, she made 69% of her first serves compared to Leylah Fernandez, who only made 58%. So that really impacted her game. And if she wasn't already worn out from 4 back-to-back 3-set games, she really made life tougher for herself and made herself have to work harder. But if she was low on stamina, you can't really blame her for that. She's been fighting all this time. So Fernandez, she did what she did best in terms of hustling. She used her speed to stay in the rally. Raducanu, she was playing with power. She was dictating the game. Raducanu's got an amazing backhand, but I love that she has the ability to mix things up. So there's going to be times where she tries to go around the backhand into an inside-out forehand, and that really keeps the opponent guessing, as to what shot she's going to play. And with Fernandez, she's slightly smaller physically, and for Fernandez, she wasn't going to be able to go toe-to-toe in terms of power, so she really tried to mix things up. She had a lot of variety, from lobs to drop shots. She tried to bring Raducanu towards the net. So she really tried to mix things up so that Raducanu wouldn't get into a rhythm. But as I said, Emma, she was just dictating the game a lot more. And there were times where Fernandez was able to counter-punch and turn defense into offense, but Raducanu was just in control for the majority of the game. And obviously having a higher percentage of first serves going in was a major factor into that. Now, at the start of the second set, you actually had Leylah Fernandez. She was down a triple break point in her first service game. So Raducanu serving first in the second set, she held serve. And then in the next game with Fernandez, she was down love 40. And she fought back hard. She continued to take things point by point. And she even went as far as breaking Raducanu in the next game. And she actually had a 2-1 lead in the second set. But again, at this point, Fernandez with her inefficient service game, that was really costing her. And Raducanu, she was just taking advantage and attacking the second serve of Fernandez at every opportunity she got. And with Raducanu, while she was attack-minded, Fernandez honestly asked a lot of questions. But, Raducanu, she's quite quick herself, as I mentioned at the beginning. She's got speed, and she was able to just thwart whatever Fernandez was throwing at her. And Raducanu, she broke back. She went to win a couple games in a row. And in the second set, it was 5-2. Fernandez, she made sure that she just held on to her serve. She tried to, at least make Raducanu serve it out. So Fernandez, again, she saved 2 match points, or 2 championship points, I should say. She held serve, forced Raducanu to serve out the match, which she did. And in that final game, there was that moment where Raducanu, she was trying to retrieve a ball. She slid on the hard court with the knee scraping the surface, and you can honestly see the mark on the court that she left on the surface. And she cut her knee, she started bleeding, and that moment alone really shows you her heart and desire to want to win and be great. The fact that she's willing to put her body on the line. Emma Raducanu is scary good at the age of 18, and she hasn't even scratched the surface yet, no pun intended. So overall, if you watched the US Open Women's Final, I'm sure many of you, just like myself, would have been absolutely shaking your head in terms of the play that we got in that tennis match, and really considering the path that both of those women, had to go through to get to this final. It really makes it so much more incredible as to what they accomplished in this tournament. So congratulations to Emma Raducanu. She won her first major trophy. She beat Leylah Fernandez, who can obviously hold her head high in defeat. But the 2021 US Open, it was history in the making, and the future for women's tennis and tennis in general. There's so many young tennis players, both men's and women's, that are really bursting onto the scene. So the future is bright, and I can't wait to see what happens. So like the video, share the video, subscribe to BTH Sport if you haven't done so. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts were on that women's final and whether you enjoyed it. You can also find our content on Buzzsprout, bthsport.buzzsprout.com, if you're also using Google Podcasts and Spotify. Search BTH Sport coming in hot. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/BTH Sport, and also on TikTok, BTH_sport. We'll be back to cover all things sport, whether it's the tennis, Formula 1, basketball, rugby league, AFL, English Premier League soccer. We cover it all. So until next time, take care, and I'm out.